Thanks for this meeting. Is for those who want to learn Django. Finish for please. It's not good. It's for those who want to learn Django. So we will do it quickly. No need for you to write with me. Just try to understand very well. If you have any question, you can stop me and ask your question. First, I want to present Django a bit presentation of Django. Django is a Python web framework. It is based on MVC. MVC means model view controller. Model means model is a table, represent a table to save object or class into a database. V is a view. Most of the time, it is the template, the HTML file. Most of the time, as you can see, this is the process. So when a user make a query, this query go to the server, Django server. Django server will take this URL and he will see this URL correspond to a view. Then he will go to a view and this view use a template. The template is the view and the controller is this function, is this red box. The model are this is the view and this is the controller. So this is MVC. Django use MVC. So this picture represents the current process of Django. So it is a framework used to build web application. This framework is most of the time is composed of a lot of application, as you will see. I think for me that is almost everything I can say about Django. So we will continue in the implementation. I didn't prepare any slide, but I hope you will enjoy and understand what we will do. So let's jump in the code. So for me, I have a folder where all the projects are there. So first, I will create a folder, a new folder. I will name it maybe Ami Django. Let's say Ami, Ami. Quickly, I will create a new terminal inside this folder. Yes. The first thing to do is to create a Python env, a virtual environment. So me, I will name it env, but you can name it like you want. After doing it, you have to enter inside this environment. So I enter, and at the end, I have to install Django. Django is the first and the most requiring library that need to be inside the virtual environment. So I enter. Yeah, most of the time it is good to update to avoid avoid this red, this yellow text. Yeah, I prefer update pipe. So we install Django. When you install Django, you are able to use a command, a specific command. This command is named Django admin. So the first thing when you install Django inside your virtual environment is to, the first thing that you have to do is to create a project. Yeah, so we have to create a project, and to create a project, you have to type the command Django admin start project. You have to use dot. Dot means that I will use my current folder has the name of the project, but we can just, when we don't create a specific folder, we have to put the name of the project. But here I already create a folder, so I use dot. Dot means that I will use this folder as my project. So we can create okay, let me check my comment. Okay, I forgot something. So we need to specify the name of the project setting. So here I will name it project. We need to specify the name of the project. So when we use Django admin, this project that I said here is the name of the project folder that should be inside my project. So we can do like this. When we do like this, where is this command? Okay, we can now open it with using VS Code. Okay, I will open this folder using VS Code.
Yvan, only
Yes.
VS Code.
I don't get you.
Code.
This,
You're saying after that you open now Visual Code.
yeah.
Okay, Visual Studio Code. So I'm asking only Visual Studio Code, or we can use another editor. It depends.
Yeah, you can use any other editor who support Python. Any other. But me, because we installed VS Code, we already installed VS Code, so I prefer continue with VS Code. But the best editor for Python is PyCharm. So if you want to use PyCharm, we install the environment and we install the project setting folder. So this project setting folder, as you can see, contain a setting file. This setting file is where all the configuration of our project should be inside. URL is the main file where every URL path through the application. So this is the first URL. The first file where when we do a request, this request come here and check if this URL exists here, and after he will go and find the specific function related to this URL. So this URL is this, and the WSDI is for deployment. ASDI is also for deployment. But the file that you will use the most is staging. is setting. So I will start running the server here. And to run first, I need to enter inside the environment. So to run Django server, the command is Python manage run server. As you can see, because we didn't migrate the database, we have a word error, but we will solve this error later. So now we can uh, now we can use I have a small problem. Okay, that's fine. So when you run this command, this Python manage run server, you start the server, and the first view, the hello world of Django is that page. So is that page. The install work successfully. Yeah, this is the basic and the hello world for Django. Okay, let's go far.
Yvan,
Yeah,
can you increase the
increase what?
Visual Studio?
Okay, sorry. Okay. I will continue because I need the server to be running. I have to open another terminal. Most of the time, when we work with Django, we have to create another application. So we cannot use the current folder to build any website because it's not really, it means almost nothing. It is just a project setting folder and a virtual environment. To start working, we need to create at least one application. So to create an application, we should use the same command as to create a project. We have to use Django admin start app. But here we have to put the name of the application. Okay. Okay, so here we have to enter. Okay, so we have to create an application, and this application, as you can see, come with some file. We can see admin. This admin file is for the Django dashboard. Django come with a dashboard. So this is the configuration file for the dashboard of Django. This app is for setting. Yes, it is a kind of description of the application. No worry about it. This model file should contain all the tables that our application should have. Is the modelization, the implementation of the database. This test is for doing tests of our application. And this view is the controller. So when we call an URL, this URL is related to a specific view. And it is here that we define all the view of our URL. So when we create an application, the first thing we have to do is to link this application inside our setting file. So we have to go in the project setting folder, and you have to go inside the setting file. To put that, we use this application. When I create my application, I say that the name of this application is main. So I come here and I put the name of my application, who is main. Okay, so
Yvan, I have a question, Yvan.
Okay.
You said first Django use MVC models.
Yeah.
So what means models and the view and the controller?
Yeah.
MVC, what means model,
Yeah.
view, and controller?
Yeah. Yeah. MVC means model view controller. The model is the most of the time is the table. The view is the function. Is the function that we call when we call an URL, and the view is the template, is the HTML. So model database, controller is the function, and view is the template or the HTML. I don't, maybe we, wait. Yes, as you can see, view, model, template, or if you worry about MVC, yes, you can think about MVT, model view template. I think it is almost the same thing. So we have a model is there, and the view is the function related to a specific URL, and T is the template. Is it good, Junior?
Okay, good.
Okay, let's continue. So, as I said,
Pimi, I have a question.
okay, yeah.
Okay, please, can you explain the specific role for a manage point and data SQLite tree? Can you explain the specific role?
Okay. Manage Pi is the file which contain almost, which allow us to compute some command. So let's take this example of Python manage P run server. As you can see, we did Python manage P run server. We call like the function run server inside manage P. Manage P is the focal file to enter inside our Django project. So it contains, so it will compute all the commands for our Django project. And DB SQLite query. By default, Django came with SQLite database because most of the time to configure the database for a Django project can be a bit difficult because we can have MySQL, we can have PostgreSQL, and to configure all of these database when you are new, it can be a bit difficult. So most of the time, the team prefer that we work with SQLite database. It is pretty simple. It is a file. So instead of working with big database like PostgreSQL or MySQL, we use SQLite, which is a file, and it doesn't need any configuration. So SQLite is a quick database that we can use when we use Django project, but we can use any other driver or database that we want. So as you can see, this is the default, and it has an engine and the name. By default, here the name is DB SQLite query. That is why the name here are the same. But you can put any other engine that you want, and you can put any other name. If you work with MySQL or Postgres, you have to put also the username of this database, the link or the IP address the password of this database. But here, because we use SQLite, no need of username, password, or other link. Just use the name to have a quick database. That is for answer these two questions. So as I said, for manage-p, we have plenty other commands. We can have Python manage-p shell. Python manage-p shell is to go inside our Django project to do some tests. Most of the time, sometimes we can use Django manage-p shell to test our function before use it inside a specific URL. So we go through manage-p before to call all of these other commands. We also have Python manage-p seed. So if I had a seed, I know, no worry. But we can implement many other type of commands. And all of these commands should be called using manage-p file. So let's continue. So as I said, when we create, we have to register this application inside our setting file. After registering, we have to register also the URL for this application inside our project. To register it, it is pretty simple. You have to, you can follow this way that they put in front of above, that they print above. So me, I will say that all the URLs starting by nothing should come our main URL file. If I say something like this, I should have a problem because
it's remain one bracket.
One bracket. Okay. Okay, no module name main.url. So we have to create this file. By default, the URL file for each application is not created. So you have to manually create it. And when you create it, you can init like this. Okay, I say that each URL should be mapped to a specific function. So I have to call view function. So I import the whole file. I will say hello.
Please, command plus zoom
I don't know how to do it.
command plus.
Command plus, okay. Is it good?
Station.
You can come if you want. One minute. Okay. Okay, as you can see that he said that the hello function doesn't exist. So we have to create our hello function. Each function in Django has take a request has a parameter. So we should have something like this. Okay, but you cannot really use this because, okay, let me call it hi, not hello. Because with Django, we need most of the time to render a HTTP, something to be seen in the web, in the browser. So we cannot return a simple text like this. We have to HTTP okay, let me try to get a simple HTTP Django HTTP response. So now everything should be the same, but okay, he doesn't see the default URL because I start updating. When we update, it goes. So I just created a simple function, a simple mapping because between this hi URL and our hello function. This is the most basic thing that we can do. But this is just for showing you something. Most of the time, we don't use this function. We use this render most of the time. We use this render and we are going to use it. So to use this render first, we have to configure where our template folder should be. Yes, it is a bit difficult, but yeah, you will understand later. And to configure it, you have to say that, okay, because I like use a centralized template, but you can use a template folder inside each application. If you let like this, you can use a template folder inside each application, but most of the time for me, it is better to use a centralized template folder. So a template folder should contain all our HTML files. So to use it, you have first to import OS. And after importing OS, I have to say that, okay, I want my template folder to join, to be base G, and it should be template. And you have to create this folder. Yeah, sometimes when we did something inside our setting file, the server can be stopped. So we have to restart it sometime. But here I create a template folder. Yes, as you can see, no problem. But this template folder is used to render a HTML file because most of the time it is good to render an HTML file instead of render just a sentence or a string. So we don't really use this HTTP response, maybe for other things, but to render a page, we use this render and we will use it now. So now I want to create a home page. I want to create a home page. Yes, I forget to say you that the main goal of of this meeting is to create a simple code. Code means create, read, update, and delete. So we should create a web app to create any element of the database, to update it, to delete it, and to list all the elements of this table. So to do it, we have to create some page. So I will start creating this page, base.html. This should be my base file. So I install a library to generate basic HTML template. So you can copy this template where you want, or you can do like me. To do it is not difficult. You can just type HTML inside your extension, and after me, I install this HTML CSS, but you can install any other thing. And when you install it, you can generate plenty other HTML tag that you want. So okay, I create this and I will just check if my template work well. So I will take hi. Yeah, we love you. Okay, I want to check if my template work, and to check it, it is yes. I will create another function. Hello, maybe. Hi, hello. If I do it normally, I should have an error. This I will rename it hi. But here, instead of render and return of an HTTP response, I will return a render function. This render function takes as first the request. As you can see, he takes the request. After, he will take the template name. I say that he will take the file name. Okay, and after, he will take the context. The context is any information that we want to pass to our template. So I say that, okay, I let my hi like this, but I create another URL for hello. This hello return this template. So normally this is the basic render that we most of the time we use. We use render instead of HTTP response. Okay. So it is good to be organized. So most of the time I create inside my template all my application. So because I have one application main, I will say that, okay, all the view of my application main should be inside my main folder. So I will start creating the entry point of our application. This entry point should be, I will call it home. I know it is easy. Okay, so to test it, I will just render this base HTML. So when I do like this, if I do like this, I should have this answer. Remember that if I enter one URL which doesn't register on all my URL file, I should have an error because he doesn't see this email. So here you can see that he knows that we have a hello and a hi URL. This second URL is the empty URL, so it is the focal, it is the entry point. But if I enter something which doesn't exist in my URL file, I should have this error. So this error is normal. Yeah. So I named this file base because most of the time we have a base file and the other file extend this file. So because repetition is not good when we program. So it's good to have a file and we extend this file later. So let's go far. I will create a nav like this. Sorry for those guys who doesn't know HTML. Sorry, maybe one other time we will cover HTML. Okay, as you can see, I will not use any HTML here because I know that some of you doesn't master it. So we will create any basic thing without a plenty tag. Yeah, we create any basic. So here I just create the nav. Nav most of the time is for the header. So I create the nav. So it is good to have, most of the time when we have an application, the header and the footer are the same. So it doesn't change, but it is the content which change. That is why I call this file base, because this should be the base of our application. All our real HTML should extend this file. So let's take an example. I say that this should be the file that I want to handle. I don't want to handle this base. I want to handle this home. This base for me should be okay. I just want to check something. Okay, this should be like the template of all my HTML file. So this is the template. I have to extend all my file to this base file. And to extend it, I have to use extend like this. And I say that, yes, I have to extend this base.html. So if I do like this, and if I come to my home and I say that, okay, now I have to use main.home. I don't want to use base.html, but I want to use base.home. And this base.home extend base.html. Normally, I have to get the same result because, yes, it is, I use the base file, but I just extend it. So, as I said, all our applications should have the same header and the same footer, but we need something to differentiate our application. So to differentiate our application, we need to create something that we call block. Yes, this block should be extended also in all our files. So if I run this normally, nothing will change. Nothing will change because I didn't extend it. I forget to talk you about this syntax. It is a common syntax that we we have in most of the web framework, Laravel or Django. So it is often used when we work with web framework. So I forget the name of this syntax, but yes, remember that you have some syntax like this. I say that, okay, my home extend this. If I want to say that, okay, this home should have a specific content. This specific content, I will say that, okay, block extend this content. Okay, when we open a block, we have to close it. If I do like this, okay, you can see that, yes, my content is there, yes. Okay, someone talk. No. Okay, you can see that my content is there, but if I use hi, or if I use home, hello, you can see that nothing is there because I just render in my hello, I just render this base HTML. So I didn't extend anything, but in my home, I extend the content block, the block that the name is content. I extend it to this. I can create another URL. Let's say create. Because most of the time we create in another template. So I will create another file. Okay, I will extend it. I will extend the block content. Okay, of course you can copy and paste. If I do like this, I can just come here and I
Yvan,
say that,
I have a question.
yes,
Block is like a div in HTML, in CSS. Div.
no, no. When most of the time when we use this center, this bracket with percentage, we are calling a Python or a Python syntax. So it's not a div, it is not a tag, it is a Django syntax to put a variable, something like this. So it is not related to HTML. It is a specific syntax to Django to do some process. And yeah, it can contain if variable, it can contain for variable, it can contain many things. So it is a syntax used by Django to do some operation inside our HTML file.
Okay. C'est bon.
Yeah. So here I just created a file name created. And this file, I will say, okay, yes, I will create a content here. But to use it, I have to have a link, ahref. Okay, if I say like this, normally, as you can see, I just say that, okay, this this link, this header should be a URL to create. And our create, when he came here, he will call this function create, and this function should return this HTML, and this HTML extend this block. So it is like this. If I comment like this, you will see that nothing should happen. So I forget. Most of the time when we comment like this, we just need to remove. Sometimes when we comment like this, it doesn't work. But yeah, if you remove and you paste again, you should have your content. So normally this is the workflow to render any view in Django. Okay, we can go far, but here we have to go with the database. I know that sometimes we are afraid to use database, but it's not difficult. Yeah. Now I will just create a simple table. I will create a class student. By default, all our class extend model. It extend model, and you have to define what is the attribute of my model. So me, I just say that, okay, I have a name as an attribute. This name should be a string. This string should have maximum length of 255. And I can say that, okay, I allow that we can have an empty name and we can have a blank name. So blank is must for the dashboard. We will see the dashboard later. So I can say that, okay, we have the name, we have the email. Most of the time, the email are also a character. We can see that, okay, we can have a phone. Most of the time, also the phone are this. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we can also have an integer field. For integer field, no need of maximum length. I can name it. How can I name it? H maybe. We can also have a choice. A choice is also a string. So let's say, so to define a choice, we have to I can say yes.
Is font is an integer field or character field?
I don't get you.
Font
Font.
is an integer field or
Which where is form?
font after email.
Font. No, most of the time we represent a font as a character, because font can this plus that, yeah, we can represent it as an integer, but for now, let's suppose that we use a character.
Okay.
Okay, so now I just want to show you how to use enumeration in our modern engineer. Physics. Okay, I will just let this screen this way. So we define this is a choice, and I can say that okay, my default value should be okay. I am an engineer.
Engineer.
Okay, so now I define a simple table for my database. So it is good to stop the server and to run the migration. So to run the migration, the first thing to do is to do this command, make migration. Make migration will generate the migration file. So as you can see, it doesn't have any migration file. The migration file is like the file that is used to be applied in our database. So as you can see, he said that, okay, he will create this model. When we generate this file, this is, yes, it is pretty simple. He will say that, okay, you have to create a table name student with all these attributes. So make migration generate a file that is easy for Django to create this table inside our database. So it is something like this. So after doing this make migration, we have to migrate because we just generate file, but after we have to migrate. Yeah, it migrate a lot of other table because Django came with plenty other table like the user table, the group table, and any other permission table and any other table. So when we migrate, we create all of these tables inside our database. So we have to migrate. When we migrate like this, our database is created and our table also is created. But if I do like this, it's not good because, no, it is good, but it is not sufficient because to access to the dashboard, Django dashboard, we need a user. We need one first user. If I put anything here, he will not work because I just created the database. I didn't register anything. So me, I want to access to the dashboard. And to access to the dashboard, I need to create a user. To create a user, I have to type this command, create super user. Only the super user can access to the dashboard. Yeah, it is true that other user can access, but they don't have the same privilege. Super user can do anything in our application. First, when we create a Django project, we have to create a super user manually. It is good. So when you will type this command, -p, he will ask you a username. Okay, I will type admin. He will ask you an email. I will type admin.com, a password. Okay, I bypass. When you enter the password, if the password is the same as the username, you can have this kind of red warning. So me, I say that, okay, no problem for me, create the super user with all of this configuration. So here I create a super user. When you create a super user, you have a user which can access to the dashboard. You have the user which can access to the dashboard. Me, I just use admin. As you can see, the Django administration already register two modem, user and group. I can register also my new application. To register my application, it is pretty simple. Most of the time, we register the table. We don't register anything, but we register the table on a specific application. Let's take an example. I want to register my student table. So to do it first, I will say that, okay, import student. Okay, this is the command to register. If I do like this, he will register my application and he will register also the table. Most of the time, we can even use Django dashboard to do a lot of things. We can even build the whole application. We can even just design our database and use Django admin. It is really powerful. So as you can see, this is the Django admin. You can create, you can save any information that you want. Yes, let's say Yvan. Yeah, I can do it because I say that my phone is a screen. Here, okay, the default is engineer because I say default engineer. So I can create this object, as you can see. I can do almost everything related to my database in Django admin. I can even delete. I can do plenty things in Django admin. Django admin is really powerful. So I can even say that, okay, in this Django admin, I want that it is def, maybe I forget, str return okay, forget, we will see this later. Okay, so we can do plenty things inside our Django administration, but most of the time it is not very good to show the administration to any user. The user should see other thing than the dashboard, so they can see your page that you created, but the dashboard sometimes is for administrator. So I register my application. So now I can start passing information inside my HTML file. So to start doing it, I will do in here. Okay, 1 minute. Now I need also a link for home. But our home redirect to the first page. Okay, so now we have two files. And me, now I want to list all the students of my application inside the first page, inside the home page. To do it, it is pretty simple. So I have to take Okay, let's go from main dot model import student. Okay, when we work with Django, yeah, one question. No. Now I have to pass information inside the context. I say previously that this empty dictionary should contain all the information that I want to pass inside my template. So now I just say that, okay, pass all the students that you get here in when you enter the home page. Okay, he passed, and we have to display all of this information. And to do it, we have to do a for loop for student. Yeah, when we do like this, Django will know that, okay, he has to take the variable student that we pass here to do it. So yeah, and for anything that we do, we have to end. Now I will just say that, okay, just render the name. Okay, but I can say that, okay, render the name and render the name and the type. Render the name and the type. But yeah, sometimes it's not good like this. Okay, let's create sorry for those guys who doesn't know HTML, but maybe later, yeah, we should do something. Now I just say that, okay, you have to display it like this. You have to display all the students. Okay, now here I just display the name and the type. So to remind you what I did, it's pretty simple. I take all the students here and I pass all the students inside the context of my handler. Yeah, this command is to, when we type object.all, is to get all the information for this specific table. So I take it and I pass it here. In my home, I just list, I do a loop over all the students that he has, and I display in the. So normally this is the basic thing to do to display something. Now, because as I said at the beginning, we want to do a complete code, like we want to create, to list, to delete, and to read. Yeah, to do it, yeah, let's go to the create file now. Yeah, Django come with a inbuilt function which allow you to generate the creation formula when we create. So let's do it now. To do it first, we can create a form.py. I'm not sure if I remember the syntax, create a form in Django. Okay, yes, most of the time, when I don't remember, I just type something in Google and I go into the documentation. So to create it, it is like this. You have first to import model form. After imported this form, yeah, we have to create a class, a specific class. Yeah, don't forget to use tabulation when you work in Python. So now I just want to say that I want to create a formula for my student table. Yeah, when you don't want to enumerate, you can enumerate all of the attributes of your model, or you can just, if you think that you will use all of them, you can just say all. Yeah, if you do like this, okay, it's not bad. So you create a form. This form should be generated when you will render the create. It is a form generated by Django according to your model and to allow the user to create quickly something based on this table. So let's go far. I want to create a student. First, I create a form. After creating a form, I have to import this form. Okay, form should be equal to this. Now I just say that, okay, student form should be my form. Yeah, now what I do is pretty simple. I create a formula and I pass this formula inside my create HTML. So now here I have to render something. So as you can see, just because if I remove this, we are on the create HTML file. Normally we have nothing. Okay, let me put something. Let's create a student. Let's create a student, and after I will say, okay, student form. But here, this is not sufficient. This is not sufficient, so we have to BL tag is for backline. So that is when we want to backline. So here we did a simple thing. Okay. But most of the time, a formula are inside a form. And we can have an input type submit. Yeah, this submit is to submit. So a form has a method which is most of the time it is post, and it can have also an action, but let's forget about action for now. Okay, let's forget about the action for now. So when I click on home, home has all, yes, he lists all the students, and when I hit on create, he will go and take the form that we created here, and he will display a basic form for our database. So now we want to create something. We want to create a student. To create it, okay, to create it, we have to customize this function. Let's go far. Print request.post. I just want to check something. Okay, as you can see, this error is normal because to avoid phishing or some problem in Django, Django define a way to secure his application. And to secure it, we need to add this syntax inside our formula. So when we submit a formula into our Django server, we need to have a token inside this formula. It is good, it is for security. I don't advise you to deactivate it. It is very, very important. So we have to add the token inside our formula. So all our applications should have this token. So now if I do like this, you can see that, okay, we have this, we have an email, we have an age, and we have an engineer type. So I just do a simple submission. I will just, after maybe yes, after we should have to save this value inside our database. So now, as you can see, I just print the content of the post. So you can see that he print the email that I just typed, and he print all of the information that I type on the front end. So when I do like this now, we have to create and to save all of this information that we take from the front end to our database. So to do it, it is pretty simple. Okay, let me do something first. I will rename first all my URL. So to rename it, I can say something like this. Yeah, I will rename the URL that I use. I will use the most. Okay, I just want to say something. Now what I did is really simple. I just say that, okay, this post should call the URL name create. And this name, I put the name here. So he will call this. But if you let like this, he will call the current URL. So it's almost the same thing. But now, most of the time, if we create and we update in the same URL, it's good to differentiate something. Let's explain. So sometimes we did this kind of thing. If method equal to, let's say post. Let's say post. So now we want to create request.post return all of this information. When we want to create something, we pass all the data inside our form. We pass all the data inside our form, and now we have to check if it is valid. Student form is valid. So if the formula is valid, we have to save. And now we can return something, but now most of the time we redirect when we create. So we have to redirect. I forget how. Okay, because I don't remember the name on or how to import. So it is good. Redirect function is allow us to redirect something to another page. So here, what I say that to create, if the method are post, you will pass all the information inside our formula if the formula is valid, because sometimes when you pass information from the front end or from the HTML, the formula could not be valid. So maybe you can, instead of putting an email, you put a screen. So you can check all of these things before save. When you save, that means that you create it inside your database. And redirect means that, okay, he will call the URL name home. I name it home, so he will go to our first page. So, so it is like this. If the method is not post, if the method is get, normally we should not enter inside this condition. We should just render the create page. So sometimes, or most of the time, it is like this, that we merge creation and render in the same function. So let's take an example. Let's try to see if what we did is good. Let's say Harasan. Okay, as you can see, when I create, it directly redirect to the first page, to the home page, because I create, inside my create function, I say, okay, when you create, you redirect after. You redirect to the home page. But if I click on,
Yvan, I have a question.
if I click on this, he will just return this, because as you can see here, the request dot method are get, but the previous was a post. That is why he entered here. Okay, my roommate said that he has a question. I will mute me and he will ask the question in the meeting.
Yvan?
Yeah, Junior.
I didn't understand. You said your roommate.
Yeah, someone has a question. I mute me to allow him to ask his question.
Okay. But me, I will start. If you, I don't understand when you did the print request dot method. This method gets print request dot method. Yvan,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, I am with you. You don't understand.
No, what means this line print request method?
Yeah, print is just to show you which kind of method we can have when we type an URL. Let's take an example. Most of the time when you see print in Python, it's just for print. It is useless in production. Okay, here I call the home page. If I call the create page, he will call this URL, this create URL. And as you can see, he says that, okay, request.post are empty and the request.method are get. So because I just I just type a link, so it is a get method. It is a get method. I say that, okay, if the method are a get method, you just pass the formula in the create HTML. But if the method are post, here because here when I submit, I submit on the same URL. So I just not to avoid to create multiple function. I just say, okay, call the same URL that you call to get the page. But when you call this same URL, you have to check if the method are post. You create a student, but if the method are get, you just render an empty form. So now if I submit, normally it should send a post method, a request post to our database. So as you can see, when I submit a formula, it is a post method. So you can see post and you can see all the information up. So when we submit a form, we have a post, and when we click on the link, on any link, we have a get.
Get.
And to avoid to create multiple files, we can do it inside the same function, just manage with if condition. I don't know if you get me.
Okay, I understand. Good.
Okay, good, nice. Anyone has another question? No. Okay, good, nice. So this thing, yes.
Yvan,
Hello,
can
hello. Are you with me?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
question, Yvan?
Fenosa has a question. I let him talk.
Thank you.
Okay.
My question is about this if statement. If student form is available and you jump directly to student is equal to use. I forgot this variable. Can you scroll up? I forgot the student because you said student is equal to. Because here we have students in the home. We have students and can you go down? And you have student is equal to student form. Can you explain this?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay. Django allow anyone to create dynamic formula. So we can generate formula using Django. To generate a formula, we have
Generate the
to
form.
generate the form, not the formula. Sorry. To generate the form, we have to say that okay. To say like this. So we create a student form and we use model form. Model form is a kind of form who is based on a model, on a table. So I just say that, okay, this form should be related to my student table. And for field, you have to use all the field inside our table. So this syntax allows Django to generate a custom formula. So here we just create a formula based on a table. After creating a formula based on a table, we import this formula. When we import this formula, we come in our create function. If the method is get, we create an empty formula and we pass this formula here. When we pass this formula, we can just display it like this with student form. When we put two square bracket or two bracket like this, that means that we want to display. When we put bracket and this percentage, we want to do a custom operation. So here I just say that, okay, the form that we create soon and that we pass in our template should be displayed in our HTML file. So it is something like this. I don't know if I answer your question.
Can you go back to view? View.
Here,
You said your model.
here you save your model inside student. So I'm wondering why save model is this point save is a method inside the student form, right? Because this is an instance of student form, this class, this small student form, and then you said student is equal to student save. So it's something like you save something inside student, and I need to know this variable student. How can you call it? Because when you click on page, it will redirectly to, and then you return a redirection, which is home. And I just want to ask the student here, where in home can we access to this student that we have just saved?
Okay, thank you, Fenosa, for your question. Huh? Okay, so as you can see, student is an instance of our model. This student is an instance of our model. When we do form.save, this form.save return the instance of our model. So this student is a model. and we save this information inside our database. So when we save like this, he will save inside our database, and he will redirect to home. When he will redirect to home, he will call all of this function, and inside this function, what we get all the students. So because we add a student inside our database, and when we redirect, we get all the students. He will add also the student that we just created. That is why when we redirect, we have the element that we just created in the front end. So let's see again. Okay, I will just put fake element. Okay. As you can see,
So
this is the print that I did here. This print is an instance of student. It is a student. So when you save, this save return a student. Student form is a form. It's not an instance of a student. So when we save, we got this, and we can continue any other type of operation, but we can stop our operation when we save. That is why we redirect. But we can do custom or any other kind of operation later. Is it good for everyone? Someone has another question?
No, we can continue.
It's good, it's good.
Okay, nice. Okay, so as you can see, we create plenty elements. So now, we do the listing. We almost do creation. So now we have to do delete and read. Okay, to delete, yeah, we should start by updating. Let's start by update function. So to do it, I will just create a file, HTML. This file should be almost the same. Yeah, this file should be almost the same than the create function. Let update a student. Okay, but now if I do like this, normally I can have a bug. Okay, that like this. Now I have to create another URL. But most of the time, update is a bit different. Update sometimes take an ID. This ID normally is an integer. Sorry. Okay. So now what I want to say, I want to update any information. So to do it, I will create something like this. No. Listing. We have to update when we list all the elements. Okay, now I want to call a specific URL. Sometimes you can have a problem with what I say that okay, in the home you have to have the student name, the type, but you can have also a button, edit button, which will help you to update. So let me refresh. Okay, if I refresh, you can see that okay, we have edit. Yeah, I have to make sure that my edit is well. Okay. Let me print something to see if okay, as you see, we are in the edit file, but it is not update HTML, which is called. Reverse update, not phone. Okay, one problem appeared. Let's suppose that, yeah, we should create, but we are not going to create here. Because when a specific URL doesn't exist, he call an error. So that is why we got this error. But we will solve it later. So now when we click on update, we come here, but it is not good, as you can see. It is not good. We need, when we update, we have the whole information and we update them. So to do it, first we have to get the element that we want to update. So to do it, we should just do something like this. ID equal to ID. And we have to say that, okay, you have to say, okay, you have to update this student. You have to update this student. So what we did is pretty simple. When we call update function, we come inside this function, we first get the model. We go into the database, we get the model, the instance of this model. When we got this instance, we pass this instance inside our formula and we render this form. It is pretty simple. So it is most of the time it is like this that we render a form with available information inside. So yeah, now we want to update this information. To do it, we will do it like we did for the creation, but first it is good to pass also the element. So me, I want to join the update post and the update gate in the same function. So to do it, I can say, okay, student.id. This student is passed when I render. So I pass the student and I pass the form. Okay, so normally I should not have an error again. Update is not a valid view pattern. Okay. Okay, let's try this later. Okay, let's forget about this. Okay, now we have to put the same thing that we did for the post. So if the method are post, you have to save all of this information. But if the method are a get, you have to handle this information. So you have to do almost the same thing, but a bit different. So to update an information using post, you have to do like this. Instance equal to, so we have to pass, yes, so we have to pass, the data that we want to update, and we have to pass the instance of the model. When we pass like this, we have to do the same thing done for a post. So we have to check if our form is good, and if it is good, we just handle. Okay, so let's check if what we did is good. So here we have Yvan. I will just say Ivan. No. As you can see that we have Yvan updated. So if I edit also physics, I am now a physics. So it is pretty simple, and it is almost the same thing that we did. But it is different because instead of create, if we create, we just pass a request.post. But if we want to update a form, we pass also the instance of this element, and the instance are this. So now we did the update. So Jan, I will say Ivan. So we did the update. Now we have to, now we want to delete. Delete, it is almost the same thing. It is almost the same thing. Okay, we delete inside the list of elements. So let me say here, let me add a button of for delete. Now here we say, okay, delete this element. Okay, delete will take the ID of the element also. Okay, but now I didn't create any function for delete, so I have to create it. So as you can see, it is pretty simple. When you do it once, you can repeat. Yeah, don't forget that if something take an ID, you have to put this ID inside your parameter. So here we should we just say, okay, print the ID and redirect to home. Yeah, now we did nothing, but yeah, let's see. Okay, So here you have to return. If you don't return, if you just say head is not good, you have to return. So most of the time you have to return. So to delete is not difficult, it is pretty simple. You have to first get the element. When you get the element, to get an element when you know his ID, you just have to use the syntax. Yeah, when you do it, you can just say, okay, I want to delete this element, and that's all. You delete, and I delete and I redirect. You can put some high cache to avoid that if your model doesn't exist, yes, you do something, but normally it is something like this. So to delete it is like this. We can also do any visualization. What time is it? 11. Okay, we can also do any visualization because we say cut, we already create, we already update, we already delete, so we can finish with read. To read, it is also pretty simple. We can say that, okay, student, you can say, okay, read. Don't forget to create a function when we did something. To read should be pretty simple. Also, ID. Okay, first, no, we have to create another file, read file, read.html. Yeah, we can come and copy something here. But here you can say that, okay, we want to read our database, this element. Okay, I will name it to read. So here, to read, I can create another. Yes, I can create another, but normally you should show an error. Okay. Read is just for show something. When we want to show information, sometimes we just get this information and we pass this information inside our HTML. So me, I want to read, I create a specific view, and where is the home? I will say that, okay, read this element, take, no, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so okay, it's almost finished. I know you are. Okay, here, what I do is really simple. I add this link. I say that, okay, if you click on read, you have to call the URL name read, and you have to pass the ID of this student inside this URL. And when you pass this ID, he will just come here and get the student, and he will pass the information of the student inside your read HTML. When he pass this information, you can easily display what you want because all of this information are present. You can say that, okay, student.name, student.type, student.email. So you can come here and yeah, let me delete. Read information. So let's go here. I want to read, I have this. I want to create a high van. Okay. Physics. I want to edit. It's pretty simple. I remove I. I want to delete. It's like this. So our create function is done. Yeah, Django is a bit more complex than this, but this is all the basic that you need to create a website using Django. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Thank you.
I have a question.
I
Yeah.
feel that we can stop by here. So you have something to add again?
Yeah, I can put this to GitHub for those guys who will do it later and want to understand. I will do it now even.
Okay.
Yeah, please feel free to ask any question that you want. Yes, I am with you.
Okay, so I can stop the recording.
No, some guy
Hello.
have a question. No.
Hello.
Yeah, you
Can
can
you hear
stop
me?
recording. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I hear you.
I have a question. I have a basic question, I think. If a user to create an information and all the information, so the information are mandatory or they can leave. For example, I have first name and last name and mail and phone. Can they leave? For example, if they don't have the first
I don't
name,
get you
can
here.
they leave? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I get you.
The my question is if during the step of creating the information, if all the fields are mandatory or not. For example, can they usually leave for example, phone number? Are they do they can they submit it?
Yeah,
Maybe we
yeah, of
have
course.
name.
Yeah, of course. If the first thing that you have to know that if you put null equal to true here, this attribute means that it is not mandatory, it's not required.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay.
because I put null equal to true to all my attributes, that's why they are not mandatory. But if you don't put null equal to true, all these attributes should be mandatory. And if you don't enter one specific, you will not able to create. So good question,
Okay.
but yeah, it's like this. We put this mandatory inside our model when we define our model.
So,
I answer your question. Hi,
Yes, it's good. It's good. Thank you.
Yvan, I have a question.
ask to the chat now.
My question is, for instance, if we want another field like city, for instance, can we copy and paste email and then change can you do that? Like this email is a model chart field and then we copy and paste it and then replace the email by city. So is there any change in my database if I change this model.py? For instance, I want to create a new field in my database.
Okay, you are with me now. Everyone listen to Finoswa question. So he want to add a field city. So to do it is pretty simple. You just have to copy and paste like you say, and you rename, you say, okay, city. When you do like this, it is good, but it is not complete. You have to make migration again. Make migration, because now you say that, okay, I want my class to be like this, but you have to apply it in the database. So you have to make migration and you have to migrate. When you are doing something like this, you will see that, okay, you can come, and when you will create, CD will come. And he will come because we say that, okay, by default, we take all the attribute. If I just list, I can list maybe one or two attributes inside my form, but when you say all, he will come to your model and he will take all the attributes. So to add an attribute, it is really simple. You have to know the type of the attribute. If it is a string, you have to use model.char field or even test field. If it is an integer, you have to use integer field. If it is file, you have to use file field. Django has a lot of field, but when you add an attribute, you have to make migrate, and you have to migrate again before continue. I don't know if I answer your question, Finoswa. So here we can see that, okay, let's say Douala, we see that everything should, if I try to edit, Douala should be there. So it is like this. It is like this. Add an attribute is not difficult. I don't know if I answer your question. Any other question?
So I think it's time. Time now, 2 hours. So we need
Junior.
to, yeah. Yvan,
Stay with me.
you have something again to add?
Plenty people. Okay. Any other question?